At the Northwestern Ontario Municipalities Association annual conference with Mayor Rick Dumas from Marathon. Good afternoon, Rick.
Good afternoon, Karina. How are you doing?
So, has this been a useful conference for you? What have you taken out of this that you're going to bring back to Marathon?
Well, there was many different functions of the conference, as there always is. It's an educational type conference where you get the opportunity to meet with your other counterparts within the municipal associations, other councillors, mayors of municipalities that are facing the same issues that we are, obviously, in Marathon. But at the same time, with a joint conference with NOAC and NODN, it's an opportunity to meet with the business community as well as the tourism and trade community. So it gets a more wider basis of the issues within Northern Ontario. So I think it's an opportunity for us to understand what's happening all throughout Northwestern Ontario by having different views from different groups of people. So it's an opportunity to sit there, learn, and network, and bring back ideas to your community. So overall, the conference is really educational, I think, in the long run.
There was a partial leaders debate today. What did you think of what Andrea Horwath and Tim Hudak had to say, and what did you think of Premier McGuinty not being here?
Well, at the end of the day, I think the fact that the Premier didn't show up is really going to affect his representation here in north of Superior, as well as the Thunder Bay Atikokan ridings. And I feel bad for both Bill Morrow and Michael Gravel that their leader didn't take the opportunity to come and bring the views of their party to the north and what his ideas are for Northern Ontario. Knowing both Bill and Mike very good, I know that they're a fighting factor for us down in Toronto, and they voice our concerns loud and clear, and they do bring the arguments that we want to Southern Ontario to be heard. At the same time, I think by the Premier not showing up, it did affect them in regards to the opposition party as well as the NDP coming here and identifying that he wasn't here for their people to answer the questions on Northern Ontario. So hopefully they'll do well throughout the election, and we'll move over this and get on with it. But I think the two speakers over here, both Mr. Hudak and Ms. Horwath, were bang on at some of the issues that we are faced with here in Northern Ontario, and they addressed those concerns. One concern I did have coming from Mr. Hudak was in regards to his comment about taking the HST off, which both him and the NDP will be removing from the home heating cost bills. But he made mention of the fact that he's going to also take off the debt reduction cost of the home heating fuel. But he didn't give an explanation on where he was going to get those funds from. As you know, there is about a $13 billion debt still on the hydro cost, so that we all have to pay that throughout the province. And we've been told in the past that that debt should be taken care of by about 2015, 2016. So the money's got to come from somewhere. And those are the kind of answers I think we have to hear. When we're going to remove it from one source of financing, it's going to come from another. So I just like to have got clear indication where those money is going to come from. Andrea Horwath talked about, excuse me, the HST and sharing those costs back to the province and off the home hydro. And I think both her and Tim mentioned that. It's a great aspect, and we brought that to the attention of the Liberal government about having those costs removed. She did talk about the continued funding and increased funding for roads and bridges in Northern Ontario. Mr. Hudak talked about having sustained funding on the gas tax portion of those funds coming back. As you know, in Northern Ontario, most of us are only getting very little, if any, gas tax credits. Most of the municipalities with transit are getting those. So he assured us if he was elected, he would give us all the communities in Northwestern Ontario, Northern Ontario, a share of the gas tax revenue to offset our cost of upkeep our transit systems, which in Northern Ontario is mostly roads and bridges. So that's good to hear. And then there was one thing that I liked about Mr. Hudak's platform for the northern portion of his speech was the fact that he's going to allow the sharing of mining profits, the taxes coming from mining operations, not old mining operations, but new ones. And in Marathon, as you're well aware, we have the Stillwater Canada project moving forward, and we hope that will happen soon. And they're going through the environmental process right now. And the profit sharing and the tax sharing will be shared between the municipalities affected directly with the mining aspect as well as First Nation communities. So there's an opportunity for us to receive revenues from that operation to enhance and provide the services that we do in our communities, and that's infrastructure, roads, recreation, parks, all the things we take for granted in Northern Ontario, and we'll be able to enhance those. So it'll benefit both us in Marathon as well as our First Nations community, Pick River, and we'll all come ahead from there. So some of the things that they said we liked, and some of the things we didn't like because there was no concrete answers on how we're going to get there.
Now, you mentioned that Minister Gravel has had a good voice for the North in Queen's Park. While you were here this week, have the other candidates taken advantage of the opportunity to speak with the municipal leaders like yourself from the North Shore that, you know, aren't in Thunder Bay every day because you have work in your own communities to do? Have they come by to speak with you and hear your concerns?
Well, Karina, I can't speak for the other communities, but I can speak for Marathon. And I had the opportunity to speak with Steve Mantis in Marathon. He did drop in and see me. We had an opportunity to speak for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes on issues that he sees coming from the NDP party and how he would help rectify some of the concerns we have in Marathon as well as the region. So I really like the opportunity to speak with Steve and talk about the issues that are facing Marathon in the region. I haven't had the opportunity to speak with Anthony Blah yet, and the invitation is open. Anthony is more than welcome to come to Marathon and talk to me directly and see what our concerns are in Marathon. I think that is the best for the candidates running within the district, especially Thunder Bay Superior North, to address the issues that we have in the municipalities, because we get it from our residents and we bring it forth to the provincial representation as well as the federal. So if they would like to take the opportunity to come and stop in and talk to us, by all means, our door is always open, and we can give him the views of our residents and what the concerns and issues are faced at Marathon, and he can have the opportunity to meet with other municipalities along the road if he so chooses. But I know I did have the opportunity to speak with Steve. I was very appreciative of that, and gave him the issues, but I haven't had the opportunity to speak with Mr. LeBlanc yet as we speak today.
It's important for them to remember that Thunder Bay Superior North does include that Superior North aspect. It does go beyond Thunder Bay. Absolutely.
It's a huge riding. Geographically, it's a big riding, and I understand that it takes a lot of time to get around, but you are running for the Thunder Bay Superior North riding, and there's Marathon. I think the easterly side is Marathon Pick River, and then you go up into Greenstone and back down around to Nippigan and Thunder Bay. So you have a huge geographic area, but I think that's their job, is to get out and talk to the local people, residents, as well as the local politicians, because we're more in tune on the local issues that we can bring to their forefront for those members to bring back to their party leaders and say these are the issues faced in Marathon or Terrace Bay or Greenstone or Pick River First Nations or Pace Platte First Nations or Lake Kellan First Nations. Whatever the community's issues are, they can take it and bring a package back to their leaders. Say, look, here's the things I'm hearing in my writing. These are the things we can try to address throughout the election campaign. And if we are elected as the party representing Ontario, we can bring some of those issues to the forefront, and let's try to deal with them.
And if they're not able to reach out to you now, you kind of got to wonder how they're going to manage if they were elected. You mentioned Stillwater. What's going on with the mill in Marathon? How are things progressing there, if at all?
Well, as you might have seen, there was a bit of a press release last week in regards to a settlement agreement that was brought forth through the MOE in Tembec. We've had the opportunity to look at that settlement agreement, and we had some concerns, so we brought those concerns back. We're meeting with the MOE next week to discuss those concerns, and we'll bring that through that meeting and hopefully get them addressed with the Tembec and MOE representation and to address the concerns we have. I can't speak much about them right now in regards to the concerns that we brought forward, but we do have concerns. We want those concerns addressed. We want to have the best result for that facility in Marathon, so that if there's an opportunity for the mill to be sold to a business community or a business entrepreneur, that's great. If the milling is looked at as a scrap metal situation or demolition situation, we want to make sure that there's no brownfield left in our community as a legacy from the mill's operation for some 60 years. So we want to make sure those are addressed, and some of the concerns we have are other issues. We'll hopefully get addressed with Tembec and MOE next week in our meeting.
With NOMA behind you now, what's next on the agenda, Rick?
Well, moving forward, obviously, we wait and see what happens on October 6th, and then from that point on, we'll get together with whoever is elected in the Thunder Bay Superior North to make sure that we continue to focus on the issues that we have in our riding and Marathon specifically. And as you know, with Stillwater, we still have some hurdles. They do have some hurdles in regards to moving through the process of their environmental screening and environmental impact statements. So they're working on all that, and they're doing a great job. Those are moving along, but we have to continue to make sure that the representation from the government, whoever it might be on October 6th, is fully aware of that issue and keeps moving that project forward and keeps fighting for the project, because we know the economic impact of Stillwater is not just for Marathon. It's going to address concerns for Marathon, Pick River, Pickmoor, Manitowocz, White River, Wawa, Nippigan, Terrace Bay, Red Rock. We're going to all benefit out of this project because there are depressed areas within all our communities throughout the riding and the region that will benefit from the Stillwater project moving forward. It's some 300 jobs plus. The construction phase, we're hearing numbers as high as 600 or 700. This is a huge economic impact for our communities, and and we're all going to benefit, so we all have to be part of the solution moving forward and make sure this project does get developed and on time, and you know, they start producing ore in early 2014. That'd be great for all of us to see.
Thank you very much, Ray.
Great, no problem. Thank you very much, Karina.